Hello, my name's Ollie. Welcome to Book Draw. For those who don't know, I enjoy looking at queer fiction and I occasionally make drawings out of them as well. So today I'm doing another haul, which I'm very excited about, even though my partner would probably refer to it as hoarding.
I just can't quit. I gotta keep getting the books.
So I'm just going to do a really quick run through of the books which I've got recently, and hopefully it will inspire you to read some too. So the first one is Gender Games by Juno Dawson. I'm thrilled to have a copy which is signed by Juno. It's even still got the sticky label, which you can probably remove. She said, "Thank you for the excellent questioning." So, I feel like I've gained bonus points for that one. But Juno Dawson is exploring what the concept of gender means in all its weird shapes and forms and identities and differences. What was interesting when I went to the talk, which was hosted by Simon Savidge, she was discussing how being transgender is just her own personal experiences, and there's an incredible plethora of different experiences within that, and she's not trying to dictate the kind of the reality of being trans and saying this is the experience and these are the things that you'll be facing. She's just questioning what your relationship with gender is and asking you in terms of what do you think about gender. So for me that seemed like a really positive place to start the conversation, so I'm really excited to start reading this one and I'm interested to see how it will challenge me. I don't know if people know, I enjoy a bit of dress up, but I am cisgendered. I'm quite happy in my physical body. I find dressing up in drag subverts the kind of gender roles. I think that's quite fun, and that's why I also enjoy exploring textiles in my own work, because it's something that guys generally don't necessarily explore or do in artwork. So that's probably why I'm more interested in some of the themes within this book. I do enjoy femininity. I think femininity is fun. I think femininity is freeing. I think men should embrace femininity. I think guys who identify as male could open themselves up more to the idea of femininity alongside their ideas of masculinity. I think those binary terms can be potentially quite dangerous and quite limiting and prohibiting, and I would really like us to get to a stage where they become so blurred we don't even know what we're talking about anymore. So I'm just massively keen to start getting into this and reading up on it. I really enjoyed This Book Is Gay, but I think this one is much more kind of personal to Juno, so I'm massively excited by this one. The next one is Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. I am super curious for this one. It was not on my radar. I started watching the series of it recently, massively into it, even though it is really dark and uncomfortable. The things it explores is unbearable, really, in the idea that you just are literally there, held hostage to reproduce for some other people. The whole things with the rape just seems really unsettling and hideous. As an older kind of dystopian tale, I'm just massively keen to read more on this one, because the series which is on right now is a series of 10 episodes, and I'm like, I can't wait, I need to know what happens next, like right now. I just really enjoyed the way that whole series so far has been shot. Just the fact that when she's sitting in silence you can see the mood on her face, and I want to know what's going on underneath that, and so I'm hoping that this book will unpick some of those thoughts and feelings that you only kind of touch on when you're looking at, and that's why I love reading. I love getting into the minds of other people and actually having access and opportunity to listen to the conversations that are going on in their head. So that's why I'm prioritising this one. This has got to be read, it's got to happen. Next one is Two Boys Kissing by Levithan. I've seen quite positive reviews on this one. Other people have said that they've really enjoyed reading it. It's about two guys, Peter and Neil, and they're a couple and they perform the longest kiss. I think that's kind of the starting point, and it's about the sequence of events that kind of happen after that, because so they're trying to do this world record, and I think it's the impact that has around them. But I've heard good things, so I'm looking forward to that. Then the next one is Ninefox Gambit, which is by Yoon Lee. I am so interested in this one. So I was watching a top 5 of science fiction authors who are people of colour. which was done by Petrol Pages. So Adriana did a review on this one, and her enthusiasm and excitement for it just made me go, I went out, I got it straight away. I was just like, I need to read this, I need to know what happens, I want to explore this. What's interesting is the author is a trans man. Some of his experiences seep into this book in the fact that the lead female character goes into the body of an undead man, but then through that experience starts sharing the memories of that person. When she looks in the mirror, she sees a man. And there's like a dream sequence which she was raving about, where they kind of shared a mind at one stage. So all those things are massively interesting to me. I really enjoy science fiction anyway, and it sounds like the whole kind of concept of this will be exploring gender in a really interesting way. Some of the wider themes of the book sound like they're quite challenging and interesting, so I'm totally excited by this one. So that's the first half of my haul. The second half is quite special because, as some of you may know, I went over to Simon Savidge's house. I'm relatively local to him, so I'm based in Manchester, he's based in Liverpool, which is about an hour's train journey away. And he was just an incredible gentleman the entire day. He took me around to his house. It's beautiful, it's such a nice space. Got to hang out with his cats. we had a nice lunch. We got to have a tour of his different libraries. They are incredible. I just, like, my head slightly exploded. My mind kind of collapsed in on itself. It was just too much. So he's got these different rooms for different things which are going on with his reading. He's got his read book room where it's just all books which he's actually read, and they're all, it's bigger than my entire collection of books, and I have a lot of like art books, not even actual books, and he's just got this insane number of books which he's actually read. He's such a dedicated reader. He's quite a broad reader as well, so just exploring all the things that he's actually been reading, and how that's kind of impacted on who he is as a person. I find that really interesting. You know, when you start learning about a person through what they have been reading and which bits that they've been enjoying, and when you are kind of faced with a person's library, you get a kind of a new sense of who they are. And but then he has this entire other room which was where we did the catch-up video, which is his TBR room, and it's insane. It's so big. It's so big, and it's so beautiful. It's so nicely lit. There's so much natural light which goes into that room, and there are just so many books. There are so many books. You could spend days there. You could spend years there and never read all of those books. There's just an insane number of books. And then his other room he has is books which he's either read or needs to move on because he's running out of space, or he just won't get around to reading. And through those books, he was just like chucking books off the shelves in terms of, oh, I've got double copies of these, this one's gay, you'll enjoy this one, and that's what these books are. And and he just gave them to me. He just gave me all these books. It's like, he's given me all these books, dude. Like, so thank you so much, Simon, for that. It was an incredible experience just in and of itself to get access, to go behind the veil of your camera and step into your house and to share that time with you. It was a great day, and what a treat to receive all these books as well. So these books. So the first one is Merciless Gods, which is by Kristoff Claw, I want to say, but I'm not entirely sure. So he did The Slap, and I haven't actually read The Slap, but I did watch the series and I really enjoyed the series. It was a big chunkster book. My mum read it, and she was like, yeah, it's not about The Slap at all, it's about everything else that was around it. And then when I watched the series, I was like, this is pretty cool, I really should read this. So this is a collection of short stories, but the problem with short stories is that I want more. I'm too greedy. I want longer epics. I want to stay with a story for a long time. And with short stories, it's almost like fleeting little relationships with an author. Doesn't mean to say I won't enjoy this, and I'll probably dip in out of this like it's a palate cleanser, and I'm looking forward to that opportunity. So the next one is the end we start from. I'm look at this awesome cover. Like, you can't feel the texture, but it's that kind of almost like canvas style paper, and it's got this gilding, which is super nice. And this is by Megan Hunter. The end we start from is about where the city has kind of had a massive flood, and it's like end of world type situation, I think. I don't know if it's the end of world or just the end of the city. A pregnant mum gives birth, has a child called Z, and it's about their survival and ultimately how they thrive as individuals. I think it's got themes of being a refugee, trying to find your place in the world. But when I was just flicking through, it looked like it was kind of a really interesting style, the way it's broken up here. I don't know if you can see this. But so there seems to be all these interesting kind of layouts of how it's actually written, and it's a nice little slender thing. So I'm looking forward to just exploring how this reads as a book, and also I like the idea of this kind of survival of the mum and like being an independent woman and making it work with her kid. But I don't know if it's like more about the kid or the mum or the both of them. The next one is London Lies Beneath, which is by Stella Duffy. So this one is about three brothers who went on a boat, I think, and then I don't know exactly what happened to them, but I don't think all of them survived. This is actually rooted in actual history. It's not just fiction, it's historical fiction. I think that's how you phrase it. So that makes me more interested in it. That's based on real life events, loosely. I don't know how loosely that is. So I'd be massively interested and a little bit worried in terms of the survival rate between the brothers. I don't know what the ratio is. I kind of want them all to survive, but I get the sense that they don't all survive. Then also have The Rest of Us Live Here by Patrick Ness. I'm really excited by this one. As you know, I didn't massively enjoy Release. I enjoyed a lot of Release. I didn't enjoy the ghost element of it. Whereas this one is about aliens taking over the world. You've got the kind of heroes who are kicking off and sorting all the stuff out to try and save the world, but then what happens to everybody else? And that's what this story is about. It's about the other people who are kind of left in the wake of all the other drama that's going on. So I'll be interested to see how this one actually develops and what happens. So this one kind of confused me, The New Boy, which is by Tracy Chevalier. So this is like loosely based on Othello, but then it's not. So it's about an 11-year-old boy who, and it's about one day in his life in this new school. I believe that the author is a white woman who grew up in like a black school. So she's kind of taken that experience and flipped it on its head. And this is about a black boy going into a predominantly white school, and it's wrapped up in the storytelling of Othello, and it's based in the 1970s when the author was kind of growing up in a similar period. So I have no idea. I don't understand why she would create that structure on that basis, but I'm massively interested in how she's going to explore the experience of a black boy as a white woman and what happens. So I'm just curious about this one, and I genuinely don't know how this one's going to go. I think it should be an interesting read just to go on that kind of journey. I actually don't know the story of Othello either. I don't know if it actually matters, but so it's kind of interesting to go into a Shakespearean story from this trajectory. The last one is None of the Above, which is by I.W. Gregorio. And this one's interesting in that it's about a story of a person who's intersex. So this is Christian story. I've heard quite a lot about this one on BookTube already. I'm excited to actually finally get round to reading this one when I finally do get round to reading this one. I like how it's going to be exploring someone who doesn't fit necessarily into the boxes. I'm just going to be interested in how that person goes through that experience and learning more about what it is to be someone who is intersex. I don't actually know if the author is or not. I'll write down below. Is the author intersex person or not? So it'd be just interesting for me to read. I've only read Annabelle. I'll add a link to that video up there, so you can check that out too. But that was written by Kathleen Winterson, and so that she was born as a woman and isn't intersex. From what I've read of it, the way in which it's reviewed, some of the intersex community found it quite problematic, and I know that she didn't actually meet anyone who was intersex until after she had actually written the book, and she had only done it through kind of readings and research of herself. So I think that particular book is problematic in that sense, and she even says when she met someone who was intersex for the first time, they're really thankful to her for creating that story. But she did also say when she met the person, it was an experience for her because the person was more of a biker chick, and their identity was a blurring and a mixture of the two. And I think that's some of the things that she's been criticised for in the way that she had written it, being either one or the other. And in Annabelle, she's making the choice between Wayne and Annabelle. And I think it's interesting in choosing Christian, which is a name which can be either male or female historically, and having someone who's intersex who can claim both of those identities and roles in one. So I'm interested to see how this one progresses and what happens. I'm very excited for that. Anyway, that's the end of my haul. Thank you so much, Simon, for enabling me to have access to some of those books and the experiences. I will update people with the ones which I finally do get around to reading. I might have to do multiple wrap-ups in future in terms of what I end up prioritising and choosing, depending on what mood I'm in. We'll just see how that goes. If you like my channel, please click the like button, or even better, tap on that subscribe and click the notification bell, and it will tell you when I'm next going to be on here.